Ryan McNeil. I was in the United States Air Force and I was a senior airman.
What year did you join?
I joined in 2007.
And how long were you in?
I was in until about 2014, 6.5 years.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to join?
It's just been with me since I was a little kid. I was 17 and I was really close to joining the Army when everything broke out after 9/11. Even had the recruiter come over. I started going to college for a little while. You know, I had to pay for college. I had to pay for my apartment, everything on my own. And my friend, one of my really close friends, he was in the Air Force, and he'd actually kind of convinced me to just do the Guard at first, and just so that way I can continue going to school. And he said, do not do the Army. And in some ways, I'm like, I'm kind of glad he talked me into going that route, because it afforded me a lot of other opportunities. After I joined the Air Force and I talked to the recruiter convinced me to become an MP, and that's how it all started.
Were you happy with that route?
Yes, actually, and that's not to say like everything has its good experiences. They have their bad experiences, but in the end, looking back at everything, I walked away with a lot of good experiences that had less lasting effects. I have a lot of friends all over the place that like I would not have ever met under any other condition. I could bump into any one of them and we would pick up where we had left off. It's almost like the brother, even though not by blood, it's that person, whether it's a brother or sister, that you had that close-knit relationship with, that you can't get anywhere else.
Did you stay MP during your whole career?
I did, yeah, the whole 6.5 years. And sometimes I wonder, like, I had thoughts of joining other, in the Air Force, they call it AFSC or Air Force Specialty Code, but I had thoughts of becoming IT, but I don't know, like I think when I got towards the end of my time, I was like, all right, this is it for me. And I was just kind of ready to move on into more of a civilian role.
Did you consider law enforcement after you got out?
I actually did. I was really close. So in Illinois, I did the physical testing. They have you do a PT test, which to me was just like carrots. I mean, it was so easy. But anyways, did the physical test, the written test. There was only one agency that I didn't qualify for, and that was Illinois State Police. I missed it by 2 points. But other than that, it was kind of like free pick. But I don't know. I'd also had, when I was a kid, I messed around with, old school computers with MS-DOS and Windows 3.1, if you guys have heard of that. And I just kind of decided to go that route because I wanted to try something new. And the job that I actually got right now, I actually work in public safety, working on, computer-aided dispatch. So in a way, I kind of married the two, technology and law enforcement. So I guess it's my way of, since I have the means, take care of the software that takes care of our first responders. So in the Air Force at the time, we would get issued very basic equipment. So we would get we'd actually get the old school Motorola radios. Ironic, isn't it? We get the old radios, and they were just as basic as can be. Like, I mean, they're old first responder radios. So I guess in a way, the Air Force would get the hand-me-downs, and we would get the hand-me-down of the hand-me-downs kind of deal, and we'd have to work with that. So it was very basic.
But that helps you to kind of
Yeah.
get the basics of the system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when it comes to responding to routes, things like that, or responding to emergencies, you definitely have that kind of experience that will definitely translate in one way, shape, or form. I didn't work dispatch, so I didn't get that end user experience. But everything else, pretty much did translate.
Where did you go to boot camp?
For me, every single Air Force member goes through Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. So yeah, and I got the pleasure of doing tech school at Lackland as well. So I stayed there throughout the whole training while everybody else got to go, to different bases. They didn't have to deal with the drill instructors for any longer afterwards. For me, like you walk around Lackland, you're still prey. So yeah.
And where were you stationed?
So my first duty station was at Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. It's out in the middle of a cornfield. You can be driving through, rural Illinois with endless cornfields in sight, and then all of a sudden you get off on one exit, and boom, there's this big base. Decided to do active duty instead of the 1 weekend a month. I went to Baghdad, Iraq. Did a 6-month tour there. Nothing really too exciting. I mean, in a good way. I mean, it was an all expense trip paid for by the U.S. government, but it was obviously pretty hot. But yeah.
And were you serving as MP there also?
Yeah, but not in the same capacity as on the home base. When we got over there, Army had jurisdiction, so they handled the law enforcement. It's really weird. They even have law enforcement over the area that they had. And then we were more of security. So you can be in charge of, let's say, prisoner transportation when it comes to transporting between, camps, outlying camps, and the main base area. You're also responsible for the security of your base. Army handled the law enforcement aspect of it.
What was it like to transition back to being a civilian?
Oh my gosh. It's like entering into a completely strange world. It's different. You have to get used to speaking. You have to get used to the mannerisms, just letting things go, whereas in the military was a completely different story. You have to relearn how, like what bones to pick, what to say and how to say. Jargon goes right back out the door. The experience, people are a lot more independent of everything, whereas when you're in the military, you're fostered into an environment where you depend on each other.
Would you have changed anything about your time in the service?
No, because it wouldn't have brought me to where I am today. It wouldn't have made me the person I am today. The memories that I have, the people that I've met, that I've worked with, and continue to have, those lasting relationships. Not a single thing. If you're going to do it, go in with an open mind. Do it with a sense of purpose. You're not always going to agree with everything, but you're going to have some experiences that will last you for a full lifetime. Things that you won't forget. And there's always going to be the bad experiences. So for those that see the really bad stuff, just know that there's always support all around you. Don't ever clam up and, think that you're on your own. You're always going to be surrounded by military members. Even after you get out, they're still out there. They're all over the place. And so if you ever struggle, after you get out, just know that there's always going to be that support system.
How do you feel being a veteran?
It gives me a sense of pride. Sometimes I look back and there are those moments where I long, for that environment again. There have been times that I've actually thought about re-enlisting. Keep the patriotism alive these days and encourage it in our youth. Whatever you need to do, be that parent that teaches their kid, to just instill that sense of patriotism. I think a lot of people are forgetting about that.